For more than a decade, Mitchell Belfer claimed a PhD he did not earn, but the title of doctor, it seems, was just the means to an end. As a PhD holder, Mr. Belfer gained a professorship at the Metropolitan University Prague, where he lectured and then founded the Central European Journal of International and Security Studies, SEGES for short, in late 2006. Mr. Belfer has privately admitted to being paid by the Bahraini government, and he used his position in society to influence political opinion in favor of the Bahraini monarchy by making appearances in news media and publishing questionable academic studies and editorials in his SEGES journal and elsewhere. In his writings, Mr. Belfer heavily argues for official Bahraini government positions and never misses an opportunity to blame Iran for all of the Middle East's ills. After posing as an independent election observer for the 2014 elections in Bahrain, and reassuring viewers that the elections were indeed free, fair, and democratic, Mr. Belfer and his cohorts founded the Euro-Gulf Information Center, EGIC for short, a Rome-based think tank intended to present Gulf states in a favorable light in the European Union. This network, that was now in place, then continued to denounce human rights efforts and even attack individual human rights campaigners that had been a thorn in the eye of the Bahraini monarchy for quite some time. As with the 2014 Bahrain elections, EGIC claimed that the 2018 elections in Bahrain were equally free and fair before they even took place. An election so free and fair that Human Rights Watch reports people were arrested for simply boycotting it. Meanwhile, the leader of the main opposition party has been sentenced to life in prison on a dubious espionage charge. All the while, Mr. Belfer continued to build his influence network to extend into other questionable ventures. For example, the Experts of Academic Excellence Research Center, EAERC for short, in Jordan. The Euro-Gulf Information Center has entered into a partnership with EAERC. Mr. Belfer is the purported expert for the center, and the SEGES journal publishes its written proceedings. The experts, all from wide and unusually disparate fields of academia, hold international conferences that are each attended by a mere 10 to 15 people who present on wildly differing topics and each receive a certificate of presentation at the end. The true purpose of the center remains unknown. Another of EGIC's partners is Mosicon, a Berlin-based consultancy with striking similarities to EGIC. Founded 2 years prior to EGIC, Mosicon used a nearly identical marketing strategy to establish itself, with a series of mini-conferences, an academic journal, and frequent media appearances by its founder, Jan Saint-Pierre. Like Mr. Belfer, Jan Saint-Pierre also claims to hold a PhD whose thesis dissertation cannot be found. And the University of Geneva, where he claims to have received his degree, appears to have no record of his attendance or of granting him a PhD. Mr. Belfer has also written for the Gulf Economics Journal and performed a detailed economic analysis of the political uprising and opposition in Bahrain. He is also listed as a member of the management team of the journal, despite himself neither being an economist nor claiming any training in the discipline. However, managing editor of the journal, Brian Sturgess, is a member of the EGIC steering committee, and at least 2 other members of EGIC are authors at Gulf Economics. But how did EGIC become so well connected and skilled in public relations to boost Bahrain's image and denigrate Iran, Qatar, and to a degree Turkey? Cue Euraffex, a consultancy that offers European affairs expertise. Its leader, Lina Abruz, boasts of her experience in country branding, and the firm itself advertises its core expertise as predominantly promoting and defending the interests of national diplomatic representations. In fact, Euraffex and EGIC share key staff, with Belfer as an advisor at Euraffex and Matt Robertson and Lina Abruz as advisors and members of EGIC's steering committee. Both Euraffex and EGIC are listed as registered lobby groups with the European Parliament. This may explain why Mr. Belfer appears to have used the academic journal he founded to urge the European Parliament to stop investigating human rights abuses in Bahrain. At least 2 analyses are published in Sedges to call for the halt of such investigations. Upon closer look, it appears that Sedges published an analysis praising Bahrain or accusing Iran and Qatar of gross violations in at least half of all editions. It is unclear if the editorial board was aware that Mr. Belfer, who admitted to being paid by the Bahraini government, regularly inserted his opinions into the journal. But at least one member of the editorial board, Khalifa bin Ali al-Fadel, is an advisor to the Bahraini royal court. Although the Metropolitan University Prague, that administers Sedges, has refused all comment, it is hard to imagine circumstances under which the university was not complicit in allowing Mr. Belfer, with his fake credentials, to build a network of human rights denouncements on behalf of Bahrain. EGIC and Sedges appear to produce neutral cover content to build their profile and reputation, which is then used to denigrate and discredit human rights efforts in Bahrain and malign Iran, Qatar, and their allies. While it is not hard to find fault with the Iranian regime, Sedges and EGIC seem to go out of their way to make particularly far-fetched claims of governmental misconduct. While the claims are unsubstantiated, some speculate that EGIC and Sedges hope to disseminate them unchecked into the wider media and political sphere. The consequences for the entities involved still remain to be seen, but will certainly depend on which players in the Bahraini disinformation network are steering the effort and which are unwitting pawns.